Hello, welcome to the Alone Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Alone, and in this episode, I have brought on regular Faiffy and loads more, if they can make it. If not, that's cool. It's all chill. Anyway, as for our guest, he's from Los Angeles. He is a screenwriter, composer, and musician. And among other things, we're going to talk to him about his new film, The Second Age of Aquarius. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Darren Smith.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Anytime. So, how's life?
So what?
How's life?
How's life? Life's pretty good. I'm out in LA right now. We're having a cold spell, I guess you could call it. It's like 70 degrees right now.
Oh, okay.
That's Fahrenheit.
Oh, okay, cool.
I wouldn't be talking right now for 70 degrees Celsius. I don't.
Oh man, that'd be a nightmare.
The computers.
That's 21 Celsius, Jame.
Yeah. Oh, what about all the regulars just joined in? Hey, Eric, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you all doing?
We're doing all
fabulous. So Darren, tell us more about this movie you've been working on.
Sure. It's called The Second Age of Aquarius, and basically we built it as kind of a sci-fi rock and roll rom-com. And so based on a short story I did with Stacey Lane Wilson, who's also our director in the show. And basically it kind of posits this idea of if you could bring your favorite musician back to life, would you? And could you get rid of him? And so basically the whole story is about somebody in 2022 who basically recreates through some weird science algorithm their favorite dead rock star, the fictitious person named Russell Aquarius, who was supposed to have died on stage in 1970. And she recreates him, and basically she has kind of a love affair with him, but now she can't get rid of him out of her house. So it's kind of I wrote the music, which is to show that this guy, Russell Aquarius, is supposed to have been a real rock star who had hits throughout 1967 through 1970. So through this movie, I wrote all the music. I wrote all his quote unquote hits. I like to call them unreleased hits. I wrote them, performed them, did them all on basically old technology, late 60s, reel to reel recordings using old 1962 guitars and so forth, so that it would sound exactly like sound that it came out in the late 60s. So that's what this film is about. It's basically kind of like weird science meets this is Spinal Tap, and we're having a great time. It's available all over. It's in the UK. It's on Amazon UK, iTunes, various other streaming platforms.
Wow. Okay. Oh, that's great. Glad to hear it.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we got some great actors who did this, and this is a big project for me. I generally, when I do film projects, because I really am basically a composer, musician at heart. All my film projects have music as its core, often with comedy as well. And my major project that I'm most known for is called Repo, the Genetic Opera. That was done as a film, originated as an off-Broadway stage show in New York and in LA, and we made it into a huge film with Sarah Brightman, the singer in it, and Anthony Head, your local countryman, and I like to call him Sir Anthony Head, and various other people in that movie. And that, again, is a music-related film. It's actually an opera. It's sung from beginning to end. And basically, it involves people who buy their hearts and livers and other organs on credit. And when they can't pay up their monthly mortgage payments on their liver or kidney, for example, a repo man comes and takes them away and kills them. So that's our movie that we started. Eventually, there's another movie that came after us called Repo Men, which has a curiously very similar premise to ours. But in any event, that's not a comedy musical. This one is. So anyway, that's my love basically. That's music, writing, telling stories through music and film.
Wow, that's great.
Thank you.
And don't hope you don't mind me asking, but what's it like behind the scenes in like the whole production side of making this movie?
Yeah, what it's like.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, it's funny because just like anything else, there's the behind the scenes. It's what do they say about like if you want good legislation and good sausage, you don't want to watch either one's being made. Similar with if you want good movies and you want good sausage, you don't want to watch them being made behind the scenes. Some of it's pretty damn boring, but it is an interesting thing to put something that I'm sure all you guests could relate. Just putting something that's in your head that just was this German of an idea and really giving birth to it and basically seeing how other human beings say their lines, sing something, do things that you never even expected was going to happen. And now you have this great 3D living thing in front of you that just is based, full blown from the head of Zeus somewhere, but came out into something that's way better than I ever anticipated it. So being behind the scenes in movies can be just a fantastic experience.
Okay. That's very interesting.
No, thank you.
Anytime. So, how long have you been doing this for?
Oh, I've been doing it maybe about 30 years now. Done played around in New York and in LA. First starting off doing basically rock operas and then things that I called 10-minute operas. We'd go to just rock clubs and in 10 minutes we'd tell an entire story through music. And it would just be funny because we'd be in rock clubs and some of the things we'd be dressed up in 18th century white wigs because one of the stories takes place in Austria in the 1700s. And, we'd just do all sorts of operas that had different places, different, different stories. Some were serious, some were heartfelt, and in any event, they were in the gamut. And so, yeah, been doing that for close to 30 years now.
Wow. That must have been a very good 30 years for you then.
Yeah, it's really something that that to me, that's my kind of, it's my niche, It's like I love music. I love telling stories through music and somehow putting those together into either a stage show or a movie is just something I'm just fascinated with and fascinated with how you can connect emotion to words and to the music itself to further a story.
Cool. Guys, is there any questions you want to ask Darren?
What did you?
Is there anything else you wanted to do in life before this?
Before this?
Yeah.
Rock star. When but no, I mean, that's been my entire life is music. So, and writing. So I feel like I'm in my element to definitely doing what I want to do.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice. And what do you like about being a composer and musician?
What do I like about it?
Yeah.
Well, somebody once said that of all the art forms, they were saying that music was the funnest of the art forms, and I know that. It's like the most visceral, and I mean, I have fun doing different, even art, visual art, and whatever. But I don't know about the rest of you, but there's something about music that can put me in like a almost like a hypnotic state. That can change my state, change from where I felt sick and I didn't want to go on stage, and now I'm on stage, and boom, my physical, my mental state, my emotional state changes. So I guess what I love about music is just the fact that it can transform me almost in a heartbeat from from one state that I'm in to another. And it's cathartic too. It's a real cathartic thing when you're writing music, and let's say it's something sad inside of you. Somebody, maybe it's in my case, some family members passed away over the years, and writing music that can kind of reach that place that even words can't take you. I think it's very healing.
Okay, great.
Okay.
And throughout your works as a composer, what have been the high and low points?
Well, the high points, I would say some of the high points are just going around the world and being able to record with different artists, musicians like Sarah Brightman. I was out in Hamburg recording some music that went to the end, went to one of my films. Just all of these people. Paul Sorvino is an actor from Goodfellas, and he's also a opera singer. So working with him, and I mean even Paris Hilton, who was on the film, was a great experience. Low points, low points are like when you have gigs on stage and fights happen outside, and I've had it where somebody tried to burn down the stage in the middle of us playing. I guess you could call those some of my low points. But generally, there's not that many low points. If the low points are there, it usually was more like monetarily than it was from from a point of view of feeling connected and feeling like I was doing what I wanted to do and what I was meant to do.
Okay, great. Guys, any more questions you want to ask?
No, I mean, someday I want to. I've been to Manchester. I want to go out back again. I watched this great movie, 24-Hour Party People, years ago about the whole Manchester sound. And now I want to go back there again.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that's about it. I'm really happy to be on here. If anybody wants to see our film, and I hope everybody does, they can just go to secondageofaquarius.com, and it's second spelled out SECOND, secondageofaquarius.com. And from there, you can stream it from any source of where you get your movies. I have a soundtrack of 1960s songs, the ones that I was mentioning that I wrote for this fictitious rock star. I have that out. That's on iTunes and Amazon or anywhere else. And so I want everybody to know that Second Age of Aquarius is around. It just was released 6 weeks ago, and we're getting a great response. And I want everybody in England to be able to see it as well.
Oh, you're gonna get plenty of those seeing your website, that's for sure.
Good. So yeah, if anybody wants to know more about me personally, I'm at www.darrengordonsmith.com. So you can take a look at some of my 10-minute operas I've written, get more of a feel for what Repo the Genetic Opera is all about. And one thing I didn't mention was that Repo the Genetic Opera is named by Rolling Stone magazine as one of the top 25 cult films of all time. And that was really great news because we always wanted to, our movie, our elevator pitch was that it was kind of like Rocky Horror Picture Show meets Blade Runner. That's what our movie was about. And then when we find ourselves in good company with the Rolling Stone top 25 films of all time, there's of course Rocky Horror, and there's also Blade Runner and the original Repo Man. So we felt like, wow, we're pretty vindicated here that we've got a film that years later, people all over the world on Saturday nights dress up, show this film at midnight screenings, and just like Rocky Horror Picture Show, they sing along, they act along with the film and things they call shadow casts, and it's a blast. I go all over the world hanging out with people who watch Repo the Genetic Opera and have watched it more times than I think I've ever seen it in my entire life.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's great. So, is there any other projects you're working on or about to work on eventually?
Yes, the woman I mentioned, Stacy Lane Wilson, who's my co-writer in Second Age of Aquarius, and also the director of the same. We're writing a new movie, and it's about it's a horror film set in the 1980s, and basically the antagonist to the whole thing is the decade of the 1980s. And actually, people are brought back to life from 2022 back in the 1980s, and they don't realize how crappy things were back then. So it's fun, funny. It's going to be very horrific, a lot of gratuitous violence, but that was the 1980s, at least here in the States. So yeah, we're excited about that. That'll be going to go on pre-production probably next year.
Wow. That's actually a movie I really want to see. The antagonist is not a person, but a thing of time. That's genius.
Yeah, it's interesting. And here's another example of where we have a fictitious pop star, English pop star from the 1980s called Reese Witherspoon. I always thought Reese was such a great English name, and Witherspoon was one as well. But I'm writing music that's supposed to be 1980s music, like electro pop from the early 80s English scene, like Soft Cell and that kind of a thing. So I'm having a great time, again, putting music, comedy, horror, putting it all together in some sort of dramatic fashion. So again, that's my thing. So yeah, I hope to be on here, maybe talk to you guys next year and tell you about the new film that I'll have coming out.
Great. Fabulous. Faiffy, any questions you want to ask Darren?
So what is the absolute worst sound you've ever heard when it comes to the terms of music, or what someone calls music?
That's a really good question.
That is. Yeah, I'm going to get into trouble here by saying this, but I would say some of the worst songs that I can ever stomach are the songs that are played on the radio that are quote unquote 1980s pop hits.
Oh,
and the reason
no.
I'm saying, listen to this, okay? I
know what you mean.
Well, I love the music of the 80s. There's thousands. I could talk about at least hundreds of different songs, different artists that I love from that era. But at least in the United States, you turn on the radio and they'll be like, it's another 80s, pop fest this weekend. And I hear that song, Aha, Call on Me, or whatever that song is, over and over and over again. And the Police song, I love the Police, but I do not like the song I'll Be Watching You, or that song, what is that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like a stalker. Oh, what's that?
It is pretty damn overplayed, and I like to listen to the generalized music of the 80s, 90s, and today, although, that's just a radio station. It's called, where I live, it's called 96.9, and I know how you feel, mainly cheesy 80s hits, and they all kind of suck after a while.
Yeah. And then you find all this good stuff, right? And it wasn't that the 80s sucked. It was just I guess a lot of things that people thought were great in the 80s sucked. So, but yeah, no, there's some songs I'm like, I actually have a list. Yeah, I've never actually used it, but I said, if anybody's ever going to invite me to an 80s dance party, here's my list of songs I do not want you to play. And of course, people will look at that and will be like, well, those are all my favorite songs. I can't not do that. But
Basic bitch.
yeah, but listening, what is this 96.9? What's the thing you're talking about?
96.9. It's a radio station that, plays in general. Like if you're in your car and you tune in to 96.9 and, it's something in my area.
Okay.
They play songs like the Stalker song, I'll Be Watching You by the Police, Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses. I was like, can you play their good songs?
Yeah, exactly.
I love 80s and 90s music. I love a lot of older music, but please don't overplay these songs.
You're right. Exactly. I love Queen, but I don't need to hear, We Will Rock You for the 1 billionth time.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's so funny. Just anything. I don't know how you could. It would be hard to be like a DJ for these oldies stations, just because they're playing the same songs. It's almost like top 40, but they just think it's a perpetual top 40 of the same songs that they play for 40 years.
The crap's pre-recorded half the time.
The what?
That crap is pre-recorded half the time.
Oh, I know. Because, I mean, come on. Could you really get DJs to stay awake and say, oh, that was just doggone good? Like they always do. Like they sound so excited as if they've never heard Aha before. Or what is that? Sweet Dreams Are Made of These by the Eurythmics.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of great music, especially great English music of the 80s, but I guess I rarely hear it on the radio these days.
Yeah, I mean, even to this day, they're still good, and I do listen to them on a daily basis. Like I have a playlist full of them, and I just love them. It's just amazing.
Well, and I think the stuff that came out of Manchester, Joy Division, and there's so much great stuff that came out in the early 80s, late 70s out of out of England for that matter, but I'm really partial to that type of music.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's really good, honestly. Oh yeah. So, where do you see yourself 20 years from now?
In a pine box under 6 feet underground.
Oh God.
No, I'm just totally kidding. I always want to use that in a job interview. Like, where do I see myself in 20 years? Still working at this company, but pretty much half dead and, my soul rotting.
So, working as a skeleton figure, I gotcha.
Yeah. Now, 20 years from now, I definitely want to be doing what I'm doing. I feel like, at least for me, I'm on the right track to, I guess what you say is your path. So if I can continue to do music and tell stories through music and write movies, that's all professionally speaking, that's it for me. And to be able to work with great artists, because I've been able to work with people from Guns N' Roses, Jane's Addiction, Korn, Skrillex, all sorts of different people. Then be able to work with really talented people who show me things that I didn't know were even possible. That's a blast. I want to continue. I'd like to do that till I'm 120 years old.
Okay. A bit of a random question, but have you ever tried a banana friche?
A what?
A banana friche.
What is that? What is it?
Okay. So banana friche is like a banana smoothie, but it's a lot thicker than normal. It's a mix between a smoothie and a frappuccino that you get at Starbucks. But yeah,
Oh, okay. Does it have caffeine?
now I don't think it does have caffeine, but
If it does, send me some.
Yeah, I was gonna say, all I need to hear is caffeine. If there's caffeine in it, I'll drink it.
well, it could have caffeine if you put it in there, and it's gonna be great.
So this is one of your favorite concoctions?
What, caffeine?
Well, there's this thing here, this thick whatever.
Banana free chip. Banana free
Yeah.
chip. Oh no, it's not my favorite. It's just something I made up.
Oh.
And I just thought I might ask it because just a bit of a laugh.
Are we having a laugh here?
Oh yes.
Have you guys ever seen Extras, the show with Ricky Gervais?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
See
And,
them in
Great.
the English Office. The first episode is like, holy shit, their humor is way different than ours.
yeah, totally. I love the original Office was good, but Extras, and especially when they had David Bowie on there. I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but it was just.
I don't think I went that far into that, but
Okay.
I wanted to watch the entire series of the English version.
Uh-huh. Well,
It was so dark. I thought our humor was dark.
Yeah, totally. That's even bleaker, the English version.
I mean, that's my kind of thing. I do love a bit of dark humor, but not too dark because there is a line that has not to be crossed. But yeah, I do like a bit of dark humor occasionally.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, the darker, the better.
Yeah.
Right.
What's the most useful thing you own?
The what?
What's the most useful thing you own?
The most useful thing that I own would be, well, musically speaking, the most useful thing that I own is called an E-bow, and it's a electronic bow that you can use to make all sorts of cool sounds out of your guitar, from violin and cello sounds to weird synthesizer sounds. And the thing is instead of using a pick on your electric guitar, you put this little contraption in your hands and it vibrates the strings using a magnetic effect. And you can get these long legato sounds. And anyway, I can get some symphonic sounds out of my guitar. The thing is just really versatile. So I have to say that's probably like my favorite thing in my arsenal.
Okay. That's a very fair choice. It's yeah, cool.
Thank you.
Love it. Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm glad that it meets with your expectations and approval.
Oh yes, it sure does. Do you think a hot dog is a sandwich?
No, I don't think of it as a sandwich. I don't know why anybody would consider it as such. Well, actually, I said, well, you know what? This is a tough call. Tough question you're asking me here, because now that I think about it, there are good sides on both sides of this issue, and I'll be political here. It could be a sandwich, could not be a sandwich. I don't know. In England, do they even eat hot dogs?
Well, kind of. I've seen stands where they sell it, but I don't know what I know what they're called, but it's certainly not hot dog. But they sort of sell the equivalent to it.
Yeah, you guys probably eat it with like mayonnaise or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't even tried it.
Don't. I used to love the hot dogs they'd sell on the streets in New York until I saw some expose about the rat, stuff that's in there, and then after that it was like, I can't eat a hot dog without thinking about all this disgusting stuff. So it ruined it for me, as much as I love the taste of hot dogs.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's all we have for this episode. It was great having you here, Darren, talking about your works as a screenwriter, composer, musician, and everything else. It's been amazing.
Well, you guys, thanks so much, and thanks for listening to me, and and playing off what we're doing. I had a great time.
Same with me. And
Cool.
until next. Oh, sorry. Go on.
This isn't live though, right? When are we?
Oh no, it's not. It's not live or anything. This is like recorded. So
Yeah.
this gonna be released later on throughout the year.
You mean I could have said more foul words because it wasn't live? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I
Yeah,
did say
yeah.
the F-bomb, so as if
What?
I did say the F-bomb without realizing it.
Yeah, well, it'll just come out like hip hop on the radio, right? It'll be like, and then he will, then, so you won't hear the F bomb at all. Just a bunch of static.
And until next time, stay tuned for more.